All right, welcome everyone. Welcome. Today we are gathering for our Rosh Chodesh Tamuz Shiur, and we are in the months of the summer months, and with summer brings hope and warmth and revitalizing and coming out of the cold. And I actually looked up today what exactly is the summer solstice, because we've just had it. And it's when the earth is tilted that it's the closest to the sun that you get the most exposure to the sun. That's the tilt of the earth we're at the moment in the northern hemisphere, so we are enjoying that. And where I come from in South Africa, it's freezing cold, so they're on the opposite end, the winter solstice. So
I'm smiling because I was in Norway looking forward to the summer solstice. Grey clouds. So we were at the top of the boat at 11:30 at night, seeing clouds.
Oh gosh, yeah. So so what is so beautiful about the Hebrew calendar is it is absolutely everything ties in and it's perfect. That's why when I lived in South Africa and it was Chanukah in winter always, like didn't make sense, and then the wrong season for Pesach, everything was the wrong hafuch. So it's such a privilege for all of us to be living in Israel in the right place, the right time, the right calendar, everything. It's a real privilege. Not everyone has yet been able to realize that dream. Okay. So Tammuz is the fourth of the 12 months. Let's pause for a moment. So Tammuz is the fourth month if we're starting counting from Nisan. And Tammuz begins the season of summer. And we have 3 months in this season. It's Tammuz, Av, and Elul. They correspond to 3 different tribes, which is Reuven, Shimon, and Gad. They were all situated in the south. They all traveled in the desert in groups of 3 tribes, 3 tribes, 3 tribes, and 3 tribes. And this group is in the south. And Tammuz is also the month of the sin of the golden calf, and we're going to look at that today and how important that is, which resulted in the breaking of the tablets. So on that very day, the 17th of Tammuz, begins the 3 weeks mourning period, which led up to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And this is also the month when the spies sent by Moshe into the land went into Israel during this month of Tammuz, and they returned on Tisha B'Av. So a lot happening in this month, and not all good stuff. So we have to be very careful of how, because they came back with words of slander, this is the month where we can correct that by watching our speech as well. So we want to do that. So if we're looking at the Kabbalistic ideas for this month, the Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg says the letter Chet, which looks like that, is the letter for this month, the spiritual letter. It's composed of 2 other letters. A Chet is made of a Vav and a Zayin with a little bridge at the top. So Vav and a Zayin, and it's connected. So the graphic design of the Chet looks like 2 walls and a ceiling without a floor. So 2 walls on the side with a ceiling, and the floor is open. There's a bottom, right? So our sages say that a flawless letter represents potential of falling. So it even sounds like the word chet. It's a chet. It sounds even like the word chet, which means sin or missing the mark. So the month of Av's letter, which we'll see next month, is the letter Taf, and if you put those 2 letters together, it's Chet, which actually is the word sin. So as I always Chet.
Now the last sentence, I didn't.
When you put the 2 letters together, this month is Chet, next month is Taf. When you put that together, it spells the word Chet, which is sin. Okay. So the first time the letter Chet appears in the Torah, does anyone know which word it is? It's for the word Choshech, which makes also sense, because Choshech, which is darkness, symbolizes spiritual falling. These are dark times. It's a difficult time. We use it in our collective language. That was a dark period in our history. Or in our own lives, we can say this is a dark time, right? So spiritual falling. The month has amplified potential for spiritual descent, darkness and destruction. And we have the ability to do the opposite. We have to be aware that this month holds already descent. The floor is shaky, it's not there. What can we do about that? So we all know that the Holocaust wasn't just one day. Hitler said, we'll build a machine that will kill Jews. It was slow little bits of evil that he injected slowly over time to make this killing machine. It didn't just happen in the beginning that was the goal. Slowly it was unleashed in the system. So if there's potential for so much evil, then there is the opposite potential as well. And how can we get to the opposite potential? By little bits of goodness. And each of us can do that. Right? So that needs to be our starting focus for this month now. We don't want that falling to happen. So we need to correct. They say if the Beit HaMikdash isn't built in our time, it's because we haven't merited it. So let's try merit it. And we may think of, what can I do? I'm so small. What's my impact going to be? But it's not. You all know the impact of a mosquito when you're trying to go to sleep at night, right? It makes a huge noise. This teeny little thing, what's keeping you awake? But it is. And that comes to teach us that we can also have an impact. My small thing that I do can have an impact. We just don't understand. So Tammuz is connected to the sense of sight. The first time sight is mentioned in the Torah, you look on your source number 1 there, Vayar Hashem et haor kitov. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God separated between the light and between the darkness. That's in Bereshit 1:4. So sight is therefore connected with light. Okay, so the Rabbi Pinson says in your source number 2, according to the deeper teachings of the Torah, darkness actually refers to a very intense light, so intense that it cannot be revealed, much like a black hole. This is the choshech of Tammuz, the blinding light of Tammuz, that it must necessarily manifest first as darkness. For this reason, Chet is also the numerical number of 8, alluding to a redemptive level above and beyond the natural cycle of 7, hinting at the transcendent light of darkness, right? So when we look up at the sun, it's so bright, but it can blind you. That's what this kind of darkness of this month can be. Because when the temple gets, please God, rebuilt, Tammuz is going to be a month of celebration. There's no more going to be mourning. And it's beautiful that you smile like that, because that plants hope for us that, please God, that's what's going to be. So what we are perceiving as darkness now in this month is because we're looking into the sun and we get blinded. But this is going to be a month of celebration, not of destruction. Okay. So source number 3, Rabbi Pinson says, the Mazal, the star sign of this month for Tammuz, is the crab, which is Cancer, right? And he says, one of the meanings of the root of Sartan, Seret, is a visual strip in general, or as in modern Hebrew, a film strip in particular. The spiritual sense of sight of Tammuz is the ability to see through physical reality to behold its divine source. In accordance with this thought, the word Sartan is understood as being composed of 2 words, Sartan, which literally reads, remove the body, in order to reveal the soul. Remove the outer shell of reality by means of power of concentrated sight in order to reveal reality's inner fruit and life forces. So the sages say that those who eat crab, there's something spiritually not good with crab, can have the body overpowering the spirit. And we want the opposite of what we want. We want the spirit to overpower the body. We're not here to have just a physical experience. We are here on this earth to have a spiritual experience. All right. So the tribe is for this month is Reuven, as we already said. And Reuven comes from the root to see. So the sense of Tammuz, when Leah gave birth to her oldest child, she chose the name Reuven. This is what it says in source number 4. Because the Lord has seen my affliction, for now my husband will love me. So the name is made up of two halves. Ra'u, which means look or see, and Ben means son. The name Reuven expresses the fact that Ra'u, God saw my needs and therefore blessed me with a son. Right? So this is seeing. There's two ways of seeing. We can look at situations and just see the wrong, the negative, the awful, or we can look at situations and see the good. So there's two ways of seeing, and that's how she chose to name him. So the precious stone on Reuven, on the Kohen Gadol wore that choshen with a different stone for each one. Does anyone know what it represents?
12 tribes.
The 12 tribes. But what color did represented Reuven? I'll give you a clue, I'm wearing it. Yeah. It was the ruby, which is called odem, okay? This is a brilliant red color, and it's also essentially visible, the most visible of all the stones. Red is seductive of all the colors, implying either the fall of man, which in Hebrew is odem, has the same spelling as Adam, as in the sin of the golden calf, the falling. That's where we really fell down in that. Or the ultimate rise of and rectification of man coming with Mashiach. So we know that the para aduma is also red, and through that is used to bring about purity through this color. The special color has to be 100% red. So in Tammuz, we always read the parsha of Korach, which we read on Rosh Chodesh. Then there's Chukat and Balak. So what's the connection between Korach? He was a great man, but he was filled with jealousy. This was his downfall. Remember we said the chet was the bottomless. The downfall was his jealousy. Chukat, they didn't get permission to go through Edom, which is a red country. Right? Balak, which is the next one, wanted to curse the Jewish people, jealousy again. So this is something we want to really open our eyes up to this month. Are we looking? Are we jealous? Who's got something that I don't have? Right? We want to be really in a place of trying to correct, like we said, those small little acts. Right? And it'd be so beautiful if we're not just hearing nice ideas, that we are actually taking something and applying it in the month. That is really about proper action. It's not just an out thought, and then I say maybe I'm going to do it, but that's useless, right? You can't get full from reading a recipe book. Nachon? You can't get wet from the word water. You have to jump in and actually do some actions, right? So this sense of sight, okay? The summer, the period of Tammuz, is the holiday of the eyes, right? The time where we need to actually guard our eyes and see that which is good and actually try and rectify the sense of sight. So we need to train our eyes both spiritually and physically to see the inner positive dimension of reality, to look for the good. Look for the good in every situation. We can always find something that is out there. And in source number 5, Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg says, in Hebrew, sight, re'iyah, and proof, ra'ayah, both from the root to see, ra'ah, are spelled the same but vocalized differently. When two qualified kosher witnesses see an event and testify to in court, it serves as sufficient proof that the event did indeed occur because they saw it. But as a rule, if they testify, we didn't see it, we just heard it, right? Say, we heard that the girl next door got married, they can't prove that it happened. It doesn't serve as proof. So the eyes are very, very strong, right? It's very strong, and it is needed even for legal clarification, what we see. Then we see the controller is the right hand. The right hand is what is used in this month. So the right hand in general and its index finger in particular serves to direct and focus one's eyes. If I say, look over there, you might not, but if I go like that, you'll all follow my hand. Okay. So when we read from the Torah scroll, it's custom to point at every word, and we use a silver yad. It's called even a yad, and it looks like that. Looks like a finger, that's pointing. We use it, and if you look at it, it's a right hand, right? So it's custom to use the right hand And in a wedding, when the Chatan and Kala get married, after he says the sentence, he actually puts the ring on the right index finger, not the left ring finger. That's where he puts the ring. All these interesting things. So in several places in the Torah, we see the right hand, as well as the right side of the body, is considered more prestigious. Okay? So at the end of the book of Genesis, we find that Jacob insisted on placing his right hand on the head of Ephraim when he blessed him. And there are many other rituals that use the right hand, and I just wrote some of them down for you. The mezuzah is on the right side of the doorway. A scribe must write the Torah scrolls with his right hand. We cover our eyes with our right hand when we say the Shema, right? In order to enhance our concentration. We go from darkness to enhance the light, right? When we wash our hands, when we are rising and before we make hamotzi, we wash first the right hand. We hold the Kiddush cup in the right hand. We blow the shofar with the horn on the right side of the mouth. When holding a Torah scroll, we hold it on the right shoulder, this way. So many things are on the right side. When the Kohanim turn towards the community, they turn back towards the ark to the right. And when serving in the temple, a Kohen uses his right hand while performing the services. And when we dress ourselves, we are supposed to, I don't know if you're aware of this, always do the right first. Right arm, right leg, right shoe, right foot. And when you take off, you go reverse, left off, so that the right is on for longer. So source number 6 says, the Meiri explains that the right side represents the side of good. And by giving it precedence, we remind ourselves to follow the right path. Kabbalistically, the right side represents the side of chesed, which is kindness, which is supposed to prevail over the left side, which represents gevura, discipline. So there are some things that we do with the left as well, and I'll just let you know those. We put that, well, we don't, but men put tefillin on the left arm. Although, I think if you are left-handed, you put on the right.
Yes.
Okay, so majority
So you just, I'm left-handed.
is a man who's left-handed puts on the right.
Yes.
Okay.
My husband.
When you cut the nails, we start with the left hand. Men hold their tzitzit in the left hand. When we take 3 steps back, we begin with the left foot, right? And this is to indicate that it is difficult for us to depart from the presence of Hashem, right? So all of these things are left. When we bow, our first bow is left, to the left side. Interesting, all these ideas, but a lot more to the right. And we can see chesed as opposed to gevura. So Rav Pinson says, the month of Tammuz contains the longest and hottest days of the year. The natural world is a perfect reflection of the spiritual world. The physical mirrors the spiritual. So Tammuz is the month which the beginning of all destruction occurs. It's understood to be a dangerous spiritual time, and we must be extra cautious and conscious of the ramifications of our actions. We mustn't think, oh, who am I? But who are we not? Right? That every little thing counts. So this is the time of, and we need to guard our eyes from the source of desire and jealousy, as we saw Korach and Balak, that jealousy. So it's all happens through the eyes, right? The eyes see and the eyes want. So I'll just tell you that a few years ago, my husband and I, in the summer, we went to Bulgaria. We love hiking. So they're beautiful, beautiful National Geographic, magnificent places to see there. And we stayed in this place called Sofia, which was just marvelous. And we went armed with our cans of tuna and whatever crackers we could take from Eretz Yisrael. And fine, in our mindset, like that's what we eat. And we found out where you could find Philadelphia cream cheese and whatever we could find, vegetables, whatever we could do, we would do. And that's the plan you make inside of you when you go. But when we got there, like outside the like little B&B where we were staying, there was this beautiful cobbled like thoroughfare where cars couldn't drive. And the whole thing was lined with these magnificent romantic restaurants with fairy lights and beautiful wine glasses, and just the eyes bring them, I'm eating my tuna now, you know. So we need to be careful. And I remember thinking like, wow, I didn't even realize what, you know, all this temptation. So we want to really know that comes through the eyes. What we see, people are like, look what they're wearing, look at their car, look at their house, look at their this, X, Y, Z, whatever you fill in. That's where the desires come. So we want to really look after our eyes. Okay, so it says in source number 7 then, Sota 8a, it says, we desire only what we see. So what we want and what we desire is dependent on the things we observe. Right? So source number 8 says, Hashem says, if you give me your eyes and your heart, I know that you are mine. That's from the Yerushalmi Brachot 1:5. So in Tammuz, we need to rectify our eyes and cultivate positive vision in order to see without jealousy, right? Everyone has their own prescription. I told this once, I gave a talk in America to a large group of high school girls. And I told the story of the Chafetz Chaim, that he says that everyone wears their own prescription. And if I were to say, anyone want these to try them on, no one would see from this because I have a prism imbalance. So he says that this woman comes to the optometrist and says, he says, listen, you need spectacles, now you're -2 and -3. So she says, oh, wow, but can't I rather get my husband's script? He's such a fantastic guy. I really admire him, and it will be, really more matin for me to have his script. And he says, oh, you're nuts. He's nearsighted and you are farsighted and you can't wear his script. She says, well, you know what, my best friend, she's just marvelous. She's so kind and compassionate. Can't I have her script? And he says, what do you mean? You won't see from her script. You need your script. And what he was saying is that each one of us get life circumstances, a script that we are meant to fulfill. And it doesn't help us to look and say, wow, I've already admired this beautiful shirt. Like, wow, now I want that, but that's hers. Right? So we need to know that if I have something, it's because it's meant to be here for me. If I don't have something, it's not meant to be for me. So it doesn't help when the eyes go on this, smorgasbord feast of what at once. We need to just see, these are my prescription, these are the tools I've been given, the family members I've been given, this circumstance the home I've been given or not been given, and what can I do about that?
And then the other side where it's like kinatsofrim.
Which is?
Kinatsofrim is like when you, the good jealousy, that you see somebody is doing something good and you want to be as good as them. No?
That's okay. That's okay.
How you say it in English, but in English they say kinatsofrim.
So that's using the same word as jealousy, but I think if we are looking at other people and saying, wow, look how kind they are, I wish I could be more kind, that's a good thing. Yeah. That's using ours for good. Right, but when you look at us in a different way.
Oh, so it depends how you look.
Absolutely. And we want to train our eyes to look well.
Well,
How do you say it in English?
my eyes, when I walked into the apartment, my eyes did some bad things. I looked and I said, why don't I have this apartment?
Yeah. I want this view
this
too.
This is beautiful, look at this. Not only the view, I have a nice view, but look at that and everything.
Yeah. Okay, so there's some work for you
and
to
then
do.
I thought, I could never keep it clean.
There you go.
So I'm okay now.
Okay, now you're okay. Awesome. And you know what? It is a human, and I really thank you for bringing that. It's vulnerable to share something like that, and I thank you because it is a human emotion to look and say, I also want that.
Yeah.
So then to just sit with yourself inside and take care of the part that really wants that, and there's a reason, or try to work towards that, What's his name? Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders only started his career at 65. Right. There's hope. We can all get there. Okay, let's look at source number 9. This is something absolutely fascinating. It's called the 120-day version of the human story.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going
Okay. Source number 9. On the 7th of Sivan, that was Shavuot, Moshe went up onto the mountain. We all remember that? On the 17th of Tammuz, the tablets were broken. On the 18th, he burned the golden calf and judged the transgressors. On the 19th of Sivan, he went up for 40 days and pleaded for mercy. Okay, that's the second time he went up. On the 1st of Elul, he went up again to receive the second tablets, and he was there for 40 days. And on the 10th of Tishrei, which is Yom Kippur, God restored his goodwill with the Jewish people gladly and wholeheartedly said to Moshe, I have forgiven as you asked, and gave him the second tablets. So you're aware that Moshe went up on the mountain 3 times. Okay, so some people aren't aware of that. Moshe went up and got the commandments. Okay, so let's see here. 120 days from 6th of Sivan in the year 2448 to Tishrei the 10th, 2449 contains it all. The foundation of creation, the saga of human struggle, and the ultimate triumph which arises from the imperfections and failings of man, the rectification. We're going to see through this whole thing. And I got this from the Meaningful Life Center, Rabbi Jacobson. So the event, this was the event on the 6th of Sivan, 2448. The entire people of Israel gathered. They heard Hashem speaking to them directly. They're receiving the 10 commandments, okay? And the entire Torah. The following morning, Moshe went up the mountain and he communed with Hashem for 40 days and 40 nights and received the Torah proper, the more detailed rendition, okay? God's communication to humanity was all given to Moshe in those first 40 days. At the end of these 40 days, on Mount Sinai, Hashem gave him the 2 tablets and said, off you go. And by the way, he said to him, when they saw about the golden calf, he said, your people have sinned, right? And Moshe heard it, but that's not when he got angry. We'll see when he got angry is when he saw with his eyes. That's when he got angry. So the eyes, that's what we want to rectify this month. So source number 10, the handiwork of God upon which the 10 commandments were engraved by the finger of God. But in the camp below, the Jewish people were already abandoning their new covenant with Hashem, and they were reverting to the paganism of Egypt. They're dancing around this golden calf, feasting and proclaiming that this is their new God. So embarrassing. But let's see source number 11 from Shmot. God says to Moshe, go, descend, for your people, which you have brought up from the land of Egypt, have become corrupted. They have quickly turned from the path that I have commanded them. So that's what happened. And this was on the 17th of Tammuz. That's when Moshe destroyed the idol and rehabilitated the nation. He then returned to Sinai for a second 40 days to plead with Hashem. So we got 40, 40, and 40. Okay, plead Hashem for forgiveness. Hashem agreed to provide a second set of tablets to replace the broken ones. These tablets, however, were not going to be the handiwork of God. God wasn't going to write these ones. Moshe was going to do that. So in source number 12, from Shmot 34, and God said to Moses, carve yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I shall inscribe upon them the words that were on the first tablets which you have broken. Come up in the morning to Mount Sinai and present yourself there to me on the top of the mountain. So on the 1st of Elul, Moshe ascended Sinai for a 3rd time, the final 40-day period. And on the 10th of Tishrei, we received the second set of the 10 commandments inscribed by Hashem on the tablets that Moshe had made. Right. So thus we have a three 40 days periods. Okay? 3 corresponding states of Torah. The first tablets, the broken tablets, and then the second tablets. These embody the foundation of our existence, the challenges of life, and then the ultimate achievement of man. We're seeing a process of what can be achieved by us. And it is natural in life that things get broken, that we mess up, we make mistakes. The first human beings ate from a tree they were told not to eat from. It's in our nature that we mess up. But what are we going to do about it? So this is what this story is coming to teach us. So here's the plot. Look at source number 13. Our sages point out that the opening verse of the Torah's account of creation, Bereshit bara Hashem, begins with the letter Bet, the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph Bet. This is to teach us that there is an Aleph that comes before the Bet of the created existence. That creation is not an end in itself, but comes to serve a principle which precedes it in sequence and substance. So there is an idea that Hashem was looking which will be the right letter to start off with the Torah. Every letter had good and bad, right? Aleph could be Elokim, but it could also be Arur, which is curse. So Aleph stepped down. Then Bet said Bracha, right? And everyone agreed Bracha is a good way to start off the Torah. So Aleph gave up its place, right? So as a reward, Hashem started the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments, with Anochi in an Aleph. Okay, so that's what happened there. All right. So He created us with the freedom to choose, and thus with the potential to fail, right? When we have the freedom of choice, it doesn't every time you switch on a light on Shabbat, you get an electric shock. That's not how that would be. Then we'd learn very quickly, like Pavlov's dog, don't switch on the light. Right? Hashem created us with free choice. I can decide if I want to switch on the light or not. There's no electricity going to come zap me if I do the wrong thing. That's not how it works. So this great gift that Hashem has given us, but it comes, Viktor Frankl says that the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, should be balanced out by a Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. It's one thing to have your liberties, my freedom to choose, but what are you going to do about that? Because with freedom comes responsibility. So this is what this first set of tablets was all about. It came with this freedom. We have this free choice. But free choice can often lead us to failure, and failure can have two effects in our nervous system. Can be guilt or shame. There's a big difference between guilt and shame, and the difference is guilt is I made a mistake, and when you know you've made a mistake, you know you can repair. But shame is I am a mistake. And when you feel that way, you can't repair. So this is the difference between guilt and shame. So when failure happens, to know it happens to everyone. If we feel guilty about it, then we can repair. But if we feel shame about it, we need help processing that. Okay. So when we act righteously and constructively, we are behaving according to the plan. This is what Hashem's wish was. Let me create human beings who live in my beautiful Gan Eden, and there'll just be one rule, like one rule. I'm sure they'll be able to keep it, right? But we couldn't. We didn't go according to the plan. And realizing the potential invested within us by our Creator, Hashem had given us so much. We have the potential. We have the potential to do good in the world. But sometimes we pull back, saying a nasty word, using our eyes to not see the good. Right? So this is our time where we want to really start noticing, am I living up to the potential of this spiritual being that I am? Or do I always get pulled down? And if we mess up, we can always repair. Always repair. I always say, always, when I'm working with people, if you woke up breathing today, you've got a second chance. You can fix anything. Anything can be fixed. When we choose to act wrongly and destructively, we enter into a state of being that is not part of the plan of the Torah. Right? And this is the antithesis of what the Torah prescribes. Yet this state is being the springboard for teshuvah, return. That's the second state. Moshe begged and pleaded, right? And I think his argument to Hashem was, what if you destroy the Jewish people now, then all the nations will say, what, you could just bring them out of Egypt to give them the Torah, but you couldn't sustain them after that. So Moshe was so clever, saying, let them repair. Let them repair. So if we've messed up, just like the Jewish people messed up, we can repair. Hashem doesn't say, no, you can't. There's no return. It doesn't matter what we've done, we can repair. We come broken-hearted, we fix things up, we make amends, we do right. Hashem doesn't turn his back on us.
And it's even in the parasha of Korach that they say his two sons, I don't remember their names, that they were with him until the last minute, and then all of a sudden at the last minute they made repair. And we, before they blow the shofar on Yom Kippur, we say 7 times
Livnei b'nei Korach.
And that's why, because it's at even
in the last minute, when you've gone so far and you are so far lost, there's always, thank you for adding that, there always is the possibility to return. And that's the next 40-day cycle. And I love the way the Torah, which was written thousands of years ago, is still a blueprint and guideline for us today, right? It's giving us all these clues. The power to rise from the ruins of our fall to a new dimension of perfection, a perfection unenvisionable by our untarnished past, right? When we messed up, we couldn't have believed we could rise up. But through Teshuvah, we can. We can all fix what's been broken. So if the first tablets are the divine vision of creation, the broken tablets are our all too familiar world that tolerates imperfection and failure and even outright evil that we can see today, right? It's a world whose first tablets have been shattered, a world gone awry from its foundation and its true self. And this is what we want to correct. The broken tablets are a plot manufactured by the author of existence to allow for the possibility of second tablets. So when things get broken, we can always repair them. And there is, I'm sure we've spoken about this before, and this Japanese art called kintsugi, right? Which is they take broken vessels and they glue them together with 24 karat gold, making an even more beautiful design. And that is exactly what happened with these second tablets. Okay? Every failing, every decline can be exploited and redirected as a positive force. Anything we've done wrong, we can repair. Every breakdown of the soul's first tablet's perfection is an opportunity for man to, these were God's words, carve for yourself. Hashem said to Moshe, you go make the second one. You go fix it. You do the repair. And a second set in which the design script is still chiseled onto it, the tablets of human initiative and creation. A second set which includes an entire vista of potential beyond the scope of the first one, which was just this gift from God, which maybe we couldn't live up to. But the second set, which we carve ourselves with, we sweat and we work over it, we get the teshuvah first, then that is something that we can all work towards. So source number 14, in the words of our sages, Hashem says to Moshe, do not be distressed over the first tablets, which contained only the 10 commandments. In the second tablets, I am giving you also halacha, midrash, and agadah. Had Israel not sinned with the golden calf, they would have received only the 5 books of Moshe and the book of Yehoshua. For as the verse says, much wisdom comes through much grief. And I was speaking to someone today, actually a client of mine, who has fostered some cats. Right, she's just a good lady. She fostered some street cats, and now some of them are about to be adopted tonight. And she didn't realize that she was going to be heartbroken to give them up. Right? So this is exactly, much wisdom comes through much grief. The cost of love is grief. Right? And that is what we sign up for when we go into relationship with anybody, that there will be grief. But the cost of not having grief is not having love. So I think this is what what Hashem's saying, that it's, you get there through the mistakes that we've made. Really, we can turn anything around and improve what we've done. So these 120 days have left a lasting imprint on the experience of time, right? That there's also a process. You can't maybe fix it in one day. It might take 40 days, right? And there's a process in moving from this stage to this stage to this stage. Every year on the 6th of Sivan, which was Shavuot, we once again experience the revelation of Sinai, okay? And our acquisition of this beautiful gift Hashem wanted to gift us, right? 40 days later, which will be coming up in 12 or 13 days, okay? We again deal with the setbacks and breakdowns, right? The problems that we also bring to the events of the day. Then there also, on that day, there were other national calamities that took place. And the month of Elul and the first 10 days of Tishrei, corresponding to Moshe's third 40-day stay on Har Sinai, are the days of goodwill between Hashem and man. So we might be in a time now of difficulties of the breaking of the tablets. But that's not where the story ended for us. The story ends with the giving of the next tablets, of you be partner with it, you carve them out, Moshe, and then I will write on them. And this is maybe an offer or an invitation that Hashem says to each of us. You may have broken this part of the deal, but let's have forgiveness. Come back, let's fix things up, and that then creates a new kind of covenant. That's what we want to have. So Yom Kippur, the holiest and most potent day of the year, marks the climax of this 120-day cycle, where all is forgiven. And this is a yearly cycle. We get to do this every year. Imagine if, like they say, on the end of your life, you go through a process like this. But imagine if we waited till the end of our life, we didn't have a Yom Kippur. Like we have this cycle now. It's starting. It's a serious cycle that started now. From Shavuot, these 120 days till, we can't think of Yom Kippur, right? There's other things, like don't talk about Pesach yet, please. But it's hard for us to think towards Yom Kippur right now. But what I wanted to do for us today is really plant the seed of there's a process and how we can take this process of these 3 40-day periods and apply them to our own lives. How we can repair, fix what got broken, and often out of that comes something even more beautiful, which is that art of kintsugi. And actually last week, I saw in the shop Soho, that shop with the lovely kitchen shop, all the gadgets and things, they've got kintsugi art there. So you can go into one of those shops and see what it looks like. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful.
And they sell it new.
Huh?
And they sell it new.
They sell it new. And actually for my daughter, the one whose boyfriend we have said tonight's shiurim, and the refuah shalema as well, Yaakov ben Abraham, for her birthday I bought her, I didn't know you could buy them in Soho, so I ordered it through Amazon, but I bought her a beautiful mug, one of these, just to see that out of your own destruction, please God, there will be repair. So let's end off with source number 15. Ever since the day that Hashem gave the second tablets to the people of Israel, this day is a fountainhead of Teshuvah, the source of our capacity to reclaim the deficiencies of the past as fuel and momentum for the attaining of the new, unprecedented heights, the source of our capacity to exact a profit from God's volatile and risky investment in human life. And this, what we've done this 120 days is based on an address by the Rebbe, in which year? 1992. So we should all take this wisdom into our lives and into this month to be able to use our eyes for good and to be able to know that this is a period, a deeper connection to the world around us and to this month of Tamuz, Av, and Elul, of bringing rectification of things we break to be able to repair and even reach something even higher. Okay.
Okay,